Hey there, Grandmaster Nikita.MESHKOVS is with you, and geez, I have to say it, welcome to my channel. So in today's episode, I would like to show you probably the best game I played in the World Chess Olympiad for Team Latvia, and it was second round against Alisher Karimov from Tajikistan. I have to mention that I think that in Tajikistan's team, they're highly underrated because all of them are 2200s, but in the end of the Olympiad, all of them got 50 rating points. So it wasn't like a walk in the park for me. And this game is very memorable for me because right before the Olympiad, I finished my first ever course on the modern chess platform, and it was announced right before the Olympiad, pretty much 1 or 2 days. And in round 2, I got my first game with white, so I was thrilled to try ideas that I mentioned in my course. So I decided to play Trumpovsky attack, and my opponent played knight e4, which is the most aggressive approach. So I answered with h4, and after c5, I played knight e2. So this was my main approach, and I've explored this idea in the opening and wasted a lot of time spent here analyzing the details. So the main point is that after knight takes g5, we play d5, and this knight hangs in the air for a while. So some of my colleagues and grandmasters told me that, hey, probably this one is just for a blitz and rapid, but I tried it in a classical game, and spoiler, it worked fine. So after knight e6, with this move, black sort of keeps their extra pawn, but the main point of the line is that we're playing h5, and pretty much the whole king side for black is just stuck. So this is where the action begins, and black has a lot of options how to bring their minor pieces into the game and work with the development. And my opponent went for a very direct knight c6, followed by e5 and e6, opening up route for the bishop, but at the same time he closed the second bishop. So at this point I was still in the book, and I knew how to react here, and my opponent played queen d5. So this was quite a good try, attacking the pawn on a2 and trying to trade queens. But in this case, I started to think with my own head, and sort of made my first decision over the board in this line, and played bishop b5. So my opponent can't take on a2 because of bishop c6. Followed by queen c6, winning some material, and he went for a queen trade and played f6. So at this point, after 12 moves, I was up more than half an hour. So there is such a surprise weapon, h4 followed by knight d2 and d5 in the early game worked really fine, and yeah, I was sort of proud of myself that you know, my idea worked out well, and so it's in the books, and d5 was a novelty. No one played like this earlier, and here I spent quite a lot of time figuring how to, you know, use my lead in development. So I have a lot of pieces in the action, but it's pretty hard, to be honest, to get to my opponent because he has a wall of pawns, and even though he is underdeveloped, but it's really hard to find some direct way. So finally, I found this idea, knight e4, which pretty much has several ideas using the weak d6 square. Potentially pawn on c5 could be vulnerable as well, and I can undermine this pawn chain with h6. my opponent played bishop e7, and here I realized that it's very similar to Carlsen against Nijat Abbasov game from the World Cup, and I went for this very classical and very well-known idea to take on c6 and create another double pawn. So these structures are very common in the Rossolimo in Sicilian defense. But in this case, I followed up with knight d6, hitting the king, and no matter where he goes, then, for instance, after this move, I collect the bishop and invade with the rook, so then I can either swing my rook on the 4th rank or relocate it to double on the d file. So this would be also very comfortable for me. But my opponent played bishop takes d6, and after rook takes d6, second rook comes into the action, and after short castle, knight d2 was a very precise move. So at this point, I have more than 45 minutes actually on the clock, and my position also is very dominating, even though my opponent has an extra pawn. And pretty much the key moment happened here after bishop e8, takes, knight e4, and king c8. So being down a pawn but having a lot of easy targets was quite critical, and I played the wrong move. So not the mistake, but not the very precise one. So I took on c5, and instead it would be more to the point to play h6, and I saw this move, but I missed this rook d6 move, which was absolutely domination because now we are collecting all the targets, you know, like a Pac-Man sort of. So yeah, and knight f6 was the move I calculated during the game. So it looks like we're living in a paradise, so probably positional chess player would be extremely satisfied, but the problem is that I can't really collect any of these targets easily because my opponent has counterplay on G and F files, and I was like, well, probably this one is not the cleanest option. So for that reason, I took on c5 and then invaded to the 6th rank. Collected the pawn, and oops, of course, no blunder, mate in 1. So I played f3 and then decided to throw a check and collect the pawn on e6. So at this point, I'm pawn up, and which is also very important. It's only move 26, and I have more than half an hour, while my opponent is down to 2 minutes. And it's extremely tough to play when you're down to such a time. So he tried his best, but to be honest, here I was quite confident about my chances because first of all I have an extra pawn, and secondly, rook and knight is probably the best team I like to play with. So, yeah, he had nothing better to do than just pushing the h-pawn, and I started to expand on the queen side because I have this comfortable 3-against-1 majority on the queen side of the board, so improved the position of my king, and after he played king c8, this gave me another chance to improve my pieces coordination, and with this move, a bit of dynamic chess appeared on the board. So with every single move, I attacked king and the pawn on a7, and finally stabilized with b4 move. And at this point, once again, still we have to make another 5 moves to finish the game. So he plays bishop c6, and another dynamics comes into action. So I play rook b8, then throw another check, then expand on the queen side even more, another attack to the king, followed by knight c5, and this was move 40. So after king f5, my opponent got half an hour, but unfortunately for him, after rook b8 move, there is no chance how to save the bishop. It's trapped, and also I have extra pawn, and now I'm going to win even more material, so the game pretty much finished here. So I'm really proud that this idea with d5 in the opening worked really well. And this was one of the main directions in my my first ever course on modern chess platform. So if you're playing Trumpovsky attack, I can recommend you this one because my friends just announced that until the end of the next week, October 27th, they're having 70% off having promo code Nikita70, not with capital letters, with the regular one. And if you're not playing Trumpovsky attack, but you like to play dynamic chess, I can definitely recommend it to you. So wish you to have good games, and if my ideas could help anyone to boost your rating, I would be very glad.